Skiing on Thursday. The weather has been more intense outside of the Salt Lake Valley, though, and many drivers are finding that out firsthand today as they head on south for holiday destinations.
News specialist Andrew Adams has already been round trip from Utah County down to Juab County. He joins us now live in Mobile 5 with how that drive is looking out there. Hey, Andrew.
Hey, yeah, right now we are southbound on I-15 in Utah County around Pleasant Grove, and it's almost choreographed because it was a really easy drive coming down from Lehigh. And then check this out in front of us. If I press that button correctly, and you should be looking right in front of us now. All right, I have too many buttons in front of me. So it is starting to back up right here in the Linden area, and so expect a lot more of this over the next 2 to 3 hours. In terms of weather impacts, though, we've been seeing light to moderate rainfall. You just don't want to see the snow, and so far the snow has held off. It does sound like that's a possibility a little bit later as you head south and into central Utah. Now, earlier today, this is what the drive into Nephi in Juab County looked like. You can see just very wet conditions. Thankfully, no snow yet. Drivers who head this way, though, know from past experience the trouble spots are usually down around Beaver and also in Nephi, and they all seem to have some horror stories.
We encountered a massive thunderstorm, so you couldn't even see 5 feet in front of you. We were all at a crawl going about 10 miles an hour just all up this highway.
She was heading down to Mesquite with her family for Thanksgiving, was hoping to avoid issues. She definitely beat the traffic, and certainly she's going to be grateful for that. At least what we're seeing right now, it doesn't look like the snow is expected to pick up until later in central Utah. Definitely something to consider if you're heading south, because as you can see in front of us, traffic is going to be enough of an issue heading later into this evening. For now, back to the studio.
Yes, it is. All right, Andrew, thank you very much. Appreciate that perspective. And Devin Mashuli joining us right now. Devin, it looks like more's on the way, huh?
Yeah, it's still going. We have the bulk of the system.
KSL Live at 5 starts right now.
Coming up next on Live at 5.
Heading south for the holidays, it's a little stormy. What we found with early travelers out on the roads.
And challenging details. KSL Live at 5 starts now.
Good evening. We are starting to see heavier rain roll in across the state right now as thousands of Utahns prepare to travel for the Thanksgiving holiday.
And that valley rain could be turning to snow very, very soon, affecting everyone out on the roadways.
Our mountains are getting snow right now, which is why we have Shelby Lofton patrolling the Cottonwoods and Mike Anderson up there in northern Utah.
Andrew Adams rounding out our live team coverage from Utah County. Let's check in first with meteorologist Kevin Eubank as he tracks the storm. Hey, Kev.
Hey, guys. The storm has really delivered big time for you in just a minute.
All right, Kevin, we'll see you shortly with that. Thank you. Again, the weather in the center part of our state not expected to be great tonight as holiday travelers hit the road.
News specialist Andrew Adams has already seen some heavy rain between Utah and Juab counties there. Andrew, how's it looking right now?
Well, Mike, right now the rain is very light, but within the past hour we did see some more moderate periods, so it did pick up for just a little bit. Let's give you a look at what we're checking out right in front of us right now, which is southbound traffic here, kind of in the Linden area and Pleasant Grove area. That's where we are right now, looking south. We are in Pleasant Grove looking toward Linden, and that's where it's backing up. I would say to this point, traffic is sort of as expected, but of course, it is going to pick up and be a little bit heavier here this evening than normal with people trying to get out of town. But it seems, at least so far, the primary impact is just the extra cars on the road, not so much the weather. Now, that could change a little bit later, perhaps, if we do get some of that snow to manifest later into this evening. Now, we do want to show you, we did run the gauntlet a little bit earlier today down to Nephi. Actually, the gauntlet is really more Nephi to Beaver, but this is what we saw as we got a taste of conditions down there. The rain on average was heavier, and the snow should hold off until later, which could be an issue again later tonight. But travelers we encountered very well aware of how that can be.
The weather can be pretty bad, and then the drivers can also be pretty bad. Like you getting tailgated when it's slippery and you don't know when to brake, or it's better to give yourself space and stuff like that, because you never know, even out here on the highway, like when everything ahead of you stops and then someone's on your tail, it's not your fault, but then something happens.
Well, Drew Adamson was on his way from Idaho to California and said north of Salt Lake was where he'd seen the diciest conditions so far. Again, right now, as you're looking south or in the Pleasant Grove area, kind of moderate, maybe a little stop and go, but honestly not the worst conditions I've seen going southbound so far, but again, that could get a lot worse in the next hour or so heading south. And of course, you're going to want to consider as you're heading out tonight that it does get a little bit colder. So if you're trying to wait out the traffic, could see some slick conditions perhaps a little bit later on. For now, back to the studio.
All right, thanks for that live update, Andrew.
All right, so let's continue our team coverage tonight up north with Mike Anderson. He's in Sardine Canyon, where the snow coming down pretty heavy, or at least it was at some point, right, Mike?
Yeah, you know, it's still coming down pretty good out here.
This is a KSL weather alert.
We have encountered the crazy weather, the Utah crazy weather.
Drivers across the state experiencing dicey roads today, whether it was rain or snow.
This is a live look at I-15 in Clearfield and Big Cottonwood Canyon. A little bit different story there, but both things that you need to be watch out for if you're traveling. Troopers say they have responded to more than 80 crashes today on our highways.
Yeah, quite a few. This storm comes as thousands of Utahns are preparing to head on out of town. And if you're leaving in the next 24 hours here, you're going to pack your coat, pack your gloves, pack your toothbrush, and most importantly, Deanie, you want to pack your patience.
Pack it. We've got team coverage tonight, breaking down your holiday forecast, giving us a closer look at the roads and what to expect before we hit the slopes. Let's start things off with Andrew Adams, who is in Mobile 5 right now in Utah County. Hey, Andrew.
Hey, how are you? Yeah, we have been driving all afternoon between Utah County and the north end of Juab County down into Nephi. I know it's been all afternoon because I think my hip is starting to ache at this point. Well, let's show you what's going on in front of us right now, which is some traffic. It's not really backed up at this point. It's moving, but the rain has intensified. So a little bit earlier, you were getting maybe light rain, and now it's, I would say, more moderate, and that should continue here for the next little while. It does sound like the snow is at least going to stay at bay until perhaps there's some showers later this evening. But what drivers are encountering at this point are basically wet roads. Maybe some standing water could be possible at this point if you're getting this rain rate to continue. Now, Nephi is historically one of the trouble spots on the drive south, as is Beaver. So we did make it to Nephi, and so far, not that bad. When we were there, the rain was a little lighter than it is currently, but it was heavier historically than it's been in Utah County this afternoon. We did encounter some drivers who were very wary of how dicey that drive can get.
Then it is kind of scary when you've got these big trucks that are flying by, like, you know, the weather doesn't affect them at all, blows you all over the place. But honestly, I mean, besides a little bit of rain, we're perfectly fine. It's the snow that gets pretty nasty.
So thankfully haven't seen much of the nasty snow just yet, but it sounds like, again, that's possible for later this evening in central Utah especially, is something to consider if you're perhaps considering waiting out traffic and taking a little bit of a later start down to your families this evening down south. Perhaps you could wait till tomorrow, till the rain ends. Back to you guys.
Okay, drive safely out there, Andrew. Thank you. Any delays tonight should be dwindling, but UDOT